I showed you how to create the digital file for your bride or groom, which we've created here. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can create a quote. I will just show you now how to create a quote line by line, so totally open. This is different from quoting by template, which I will show you in a later video. But it's just to get you an idea of how you can just freehand a quote to your bride. So you go to your file and open your file. Then you'd go to view quotation. Over here then you've got a very clean slate, so you can quote whatever you want. You can, in this part, put different categories. So you can change this to say bridal flowers, and let's say we want reception flowers. We're going to do that there. Then we want to add our items to our quote, so I'm going to open that and I'm going to go tag. Okay. Everything I'm putting here will pull through and show on the quote. So let's go at the buttonholes. Once I've done that, if you put a line in you don't want, you just click the cross over here. I am going to price them, so let's say this one is going to be 110, this is going to be 110, groom's buttonhole 20, and other 15, and I'm going to change my quantities here, and let's go that there. Now you can see there where I've been putting this information here, it has changed and it's added my quantities here. This is where I have worked out through my knowledge how much roughly I am charging for these based on what I've spoken to the bride, and I've put these prices in. I would often guess these prices based on what I know and put them in, and then I wouldn't really work out exactly what stem counts I'm going to put in. I'd make sure I quoted a safe figure, but I wouldn't spend the time working out what stem counts I'm going to put in until the bride has booked me, so then it feel like it's worth spending that time. However, if I wanted to do that, I could actually do that information here. So let's say I didn't know how much this was going to be, and I've decided I'm actually going to put some ingredients here. For the purpose of this video, I'm just going to put custom ingredients. So let's go rose. I'm going to go, again, I'm not going to do the margin or markup. I'm just going to say cost for, price for. We'll worry about that in a later video. So here I am, I'm pricing this up. I'm going to go Anthes. We retail that for 4, so we're going to do that there. We're going to go Celia. We're going to pop that in at 3. If you wanted to put your margins in, and let's say you said, well, actually I times by 3, so I am going to put that in as cost a pound and times it by 3. Well, let's take that out, and then to make it put the margin in, I do that there. You can do that for every item, so if you know your cost, you can put that in, or you can just keep it as 100% and do it as that. As I'm going to put all this in, let's go eucalyptus, and we're going to go £2 for that. Let's do that. And then let's say, what else do we need to put in that? We need to put labour, and we need to put the handle, the bouquet, ribbon in. always build in a delivery charge onto the bridal bouquet because we're always delivering that. So we offer free delivery, but it's built in over here. So that is 15. Our ribboning is 15, let's say, and then we're going to work out what flowers we're putting in. So let's say we're going to put 10, 5, 3 and 5. So then here we go. As we're doing that is adding all this information up over here. You pop all that information in, and then you say, okay, right, I'm charging 109, this is wedding work. I would add a third on for that, so let's call that £50 for labour. I'll pop that in there, and then that is telling me then what my price to charge is over here, and it is there. So then you can actually quote that way, where you are putting all the information in and it is giving you a price. Or you can do as I was doing there, quoting a price, which I would work out all the details that we've put in here afterwards. In the description part of each item, you would put anything that you'd want to show on the quote. So we're going to go beautiful style, in there. Anything that you wanted the bride to actually see in their quote, you'd pop that over here. If there was something you needed to write here that you didn't necessarily want the bride to see, but you would need it if you turn that wedding into quote into an order, it's the sort of thing that you would remember at quote times. You pop it in there, and then when it comes to making it, you have all the information you need to make it. So you might want to put here, bride is very petite, make compact, and then anything like that. As you're going through where things are unsaved, you get this bar here. Make sure you save it. Whenever you save anything, it would want you to choose a name. There we go. So it's logging all of any changes that you make here. Again, same thing for reception flowers. You can write them, you can either quote it in this way, where you are writing all the information down and then working out your price, or you could do it here as we've done it in the yellow part, where you are giving a price which will then be looked at once you book the quote. The only thing of caution I would say here, if you are doing it this way where you're giving that price, you need to lock the prices, and you do that by clicking here and hitting lock price. And that is because if you don't do that, as when you started putting items in there, it took it down to whatever the items are. When you start doing it here, when it's locked, it doesn't, it just keeps an add up of what you're putting. So there we go, I've got 110 is what I've quoted, £3 is what I've put in, and so on and so forth. So I know how much far I've got to go to reach the price that I've quoted. So that is how you create your quote, and how you would, I guess, start putting an order together if you're putting your items in. If you're not putting the order together, if you're just quoting, you don't need to do this until you're finalising the order. Now I'm just going to take that off for quotation purposes. Then once you have done that, filled all your information, you click over here and you go back to your event dashboard, and you would hit send quotation. When you hit send quotation, all the details, you have a template, which again I'll show you in settings, and that is your main details that go there. And then, so that is over here, and any edits you want to make are here so that they show over here. And then this is what gets sent to the bride and groom. So there is default data in the template that goes out, but you can change that to suit your business. So this is part of the default template. Then this is what you filled in your quote. So where you were putting the date and the venues, they're all there. Over here where I was putting what the bride was getting, that was over there, but you'll notice that the note I wrote about the bride being petite doesn't show. Where there's multiples, it's adding, and at the bottom it's adding the total order value, and it tells you how much your reservation fee. Again, this is customizable. We do a 20% deposit, so it's worked out what 20% deposit here is, but again, that's customizable to how you do your booking fees. Over here we've detailed the next stages and what it means to have paid your deposit. It links to your terms and conditions. You put your bank details there so that you make them be able to easily pay, and anything else you want to say. If I want to make any edits, I could just do it here. So if I'd say I can change whatever I can say, whatever I want to say there if it's slightly different from the template. As I mentioned earlier, when you're setting up the quotes, if you've got details of other people associated with the wedding, you can choose to send the quotation to more than one person. When you're ready to send, you would hit send like that. Probably fail because we don't actually have any sending capability in the demo thing, but it just gives you the idea there. You would hit send, it would send it, and then it would automatically move into quote sent. The notifications would then show here. Then there's nothing there because the demo site isn't thinking of that, but you would have your full quote would show in here. When you've set up, it would show that it had been sent in event logs. When you've set up your automations, any action that you would have to take after sending quote would also be tasked on your main dashboard. So now if I go back to the dashboard, if you go back to the events dashboard, you can then see that there is sitting in quote sent because we've sent the quote out. In the next video, I'll show you creating quotes by templates.